You ever see something in a store and think, that's way too expensive? I could totally make that for less. Yeah, turns out that's usually not true. Furniture is expensive, and especially the good stuff. But kid furniture, that's a whole different level of ridiculous. It's often plastic, rainbow colored, and barely survives a few weeks of actual use. So when I found this hardwood activity table set with adjustable chairs for toddlers, kids, and adults, I thought, that's awesome, but not $800 awesome. Cue the classic woodworker line, I'll just make it myself. And like most woodworkers, I've got a stash of offcuts and scraps from past projects just waiting for the right moment. And this is it. I'm building this entire set for my son using $0 worth of lumber. And here's the twist. The money I saved on materials went straight to a new tool. Shocker. Stick around till the end because there's a special moment where that tool makes its debut and you might cry. Let's build. All right, I'm back in the shop. It's been far below 0 Fahrenheit here, and it's been a little bit tough to get out to the shop. I do have a heater, but it takes a while to warm up, and it's still really cold. It warmed up a little bit. I'm back in the shop, which is great. Now, not only was the cold discouraging me from coming back into the shop, but it was also because I now have to cut 4 times, over 60 dominoes for the chairs for this build. That'll be a long process, but luckily I have podcasts stored up, so here we go. This project actually brought me back to my woodworking roots. When I first started making furniture, I'd see something online I liked and I'd tried to replicate it. No fancy redesigns, just build it and learn along the way. And that's exactly what I did here. I found a design I really liked, and instead of reinventing the wheel, I ran with it. Say what you want about borrowing ideas, but it's one of the best ways to improve your skills. All right, so I just finished 96 dominoes. It was a grind, but I'm done, so I'm gonna start gluing them up now.
It's on side like www. OnSideLike.com.
All right, note to myself next time. I just don't love the repetitive stuff. So maybe next time when I pick the next project, maybe don't make 4 of the same things where you have to do 96 dominoes and glue ups. Yeah. So the next step is going to be mapping out the panels. So I have a bunch of different pieces that are going to make up the panels, the seat and then the back panels. But I need to make sure that they are going to be the right dimension. So for this panel here, I want to glue these together, of course, and there's a seam in between, so there'll be one. One of the tips that I learned is to mark, to have, one on the fence and then one pointing outside, and this will create a flat top, because if your fence on your joiner is not perfectly 90 degrees, this will compensate for that. So now that I've taken those out of the clamps, the next step will be to cut the backs and the seats to the correct size. I have the stack of the backs and the seats, so I'll cut those to size and then I'll start with the dados. All right, so can you see that? It's cold. Okay, I just finished, wow, this is super distracting to have my breath. All right, I just finished up cutting the back in the seats to size. And so I did a quick clamp up to see what it looks like. So it looks good. Looks like a little miniature chair, which is exactly what we want. Very rough, we'll sand it up. Overall, we're on the right track. All right, so as I'm dry fitting the chairs, I'm realizing that I have a decision to make here. I can either have the side assemblies on the inside of the back, or I can have them on the outside. Let me show you. All right, so as you can see here, they're on the inside. So what that means is when this is flipped over and an adult is sitting on it, then the weight would be on the legs. Whereas if I did it like this, then the weight would be on the seat that will be in here and not on the legs. So potentially this joint would be pretty weak if it was like this, with the weight coming from this side. So I think I'm going to do it that way. That way it'll be more structurally sound, especially when there's more weight, an adult is sitting on it. So what it's gonna look like is, these will be on the side, and then on here, I'll put a dado, and then the seat will slot right in there, and then the back will just butt up against the back here. But the thing is, they're not, the middle supports are not exactly in the middle, and that's, so there are two different settings for the seats. So there'll be a 6-inch setting, so for a smaller kid with shorter legs, and then you can flip it around, and then it's 8 inches tall, and then you'll actually be able to sit on it like this, and then the back would be there. So kind of interesting design, not my original design, something that I stole, but yeah, it will be a piece that can grow with the kids. For this dado, I want to stop my cut 3/4 of an inch from the end. So what I'm doing here is inching up where I want the cut to stop and marking where that would be on my saw with blue tape. This will make it repeatable. And this is what we're looking at right now. Looks pretty good so far. It feels really strong. One thing that I wish I would have done before gluing and clamping was sand these edges. So the edges are pretty sharp, actually very sharp, and since this is, for kids, it needs to be soft. So what I'm doing is I'm sanding over the edges, and that's taking forever. And it's difficult because I need to get in between all of these little rectangles in there. And if I would have done that while they weren't connected, it would have been a lot easier. So kind of kicking myself for not doing that earlier, but you live and you learn. So back to sanding. I ran into a little bit of an issue. So the seat has a little bit of an overlap, and I'm trying to figure out how I can cut that. My table saw blade won't reach it, so that doesn't work. I don't think a bandsaw is a good option here. I don't see a way to use the router. Planer's out, so I'm kind of walking through each of my tools and trying to figure out how I can do this. The only thing that I can think about is the joiner. It's important that it's flush, because when it's on this setting, we want this part to be on the ground. So I'm gonna try that. We'll see how that works. Okay, yeah. So you just saw that didn't work. I'll show you what happened. Not the best idea. Yeah. Yeah, so it took a nice big chunk out. I don't know how I'm gonna fix that. Whoops. So we're gonna try sanding. Seems like a decent option at this point. Okay, I got an idea. I'm sure this is agonizing to watch at home as I go through all the tools that won't work for this. How about like the manual joiner? Plane. How about a hand plane? That might work. We're gonna do that. Yeah. Yeah. The chairs are sanded and they're ready to be finished, as you can see there. I have them all stacked up and ready to go. Now it's time to do the table. So as you can imagine, I don't have as much time for furniture making as I used to now that I'm a dad. That was something that was really difficult for me to accept for the first several months, and something I'm still figuring out. I've learned to adjust my expectations and make the most of the time I do get in the shop. And while making furniture is one of my favorite ways to spend my valuable free time, being a dad is a pretty awesome way to spend it too. All right, so I got a quick tip here. So when you're cutting things with a circular saw or something that isn't as powerful as a table saw or a bandsaw or anything like that, use blue tape. Blue tape will help with the tear out. Now I didn't do it on the first cut, but I'll do it on the second one so we can see before and after. I'll show you what the first cut looked like. So as you can see, there's a good amount of tear out. I'm not worried about this because I'm gonna do an edge profile, so that'll just clean it up. But I think it'll be a cool kind of before and after. So let's check out how the cut looks when I use blue tape. All right, so let's take a look at how this looks. It doesn't look like it is that much better. And it isn't really all that better. Yeah, so it's not all that much better. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Usually it does. I know I do it on the table saw and it works nicely, to make sure that there's not tear out. I wonder if the circular saw isn't good enough. Well, like I mentioned before, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna put an edge profile on this with my router, so no need to worry. We'll clean it up though. All right, let's get to it. All right, so I've mapped out the components to make up the leg, the base, and right now I'm going to mark them up and then cut dominoes, glue them up, and we're almost there. The legs are now glued up. And now I'm going to do edge profile. I'm gonna do just a little round over on both the legs and the tabletop. But I think this could be a hot take, but I think the biggest night and day difference after using a tool is the router. The transformation that a router can provide is the most substantial out of any tool in the shop. So let's do the transformation. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. So as you can see, it just looks so much cleaner with the round over. If you're looking to take your pieces to the next level, I'd encourage you to take a look at how you can use your router to up level your pieces. So I just sanded everything up. We're just so close, we're so close. We have 2 more steps. First being, we need to drill some holes so we can attach the top to the base. And the next, final step, finishing. All right, so the way that I'm gonna attach the tabletop to the base is with threaded inserts and bolts. I'm using 15 millimeter threaded inserts. So those will go into the top. Let's just actually confirm that they are, yeah, okay. So that'll be good. I'm gonna actually just put holes kind of in the middle of the table, not on the ends, on the supports. So we'll just secure them, probably 4 of them, kind of right here. All right, so last thing. One tip is gonna be for the threaded inserts, the bolts. The hole in the base, I'm gonna make just a little bit bigger than the bolt because I wanna allow for that bolt to move around just in case there's movement in the piece. And now it's time to finish. Before I do that, I wanted to show you what I'm going to use to finish the pieces. I'm going to use Osmo Poly X oil. Now this is the first time that I've used this, but I've seen it around the internet and it looks like it provides a good result. So I'm going to try it this time. Normally use Rubio Monaco, but I want to give this a try just to see if it'll work. Now, in the comments below, tell me what finish you prefer. Now this tool has been on my radar for a while. I've finally managed to get my hands on one, and it's super awesome. As I mentioned before, my shop time is so valuable, and there's nothing worse to me than spending time on anything other than projects. I was reassured when I got a last-minute idea for a special detail, and it only took about 10 minutes, even with testing, to execute the idea. I can't wait to use the Origin more. Okay, so something completely unexpected happened to me while I was wrapping up this project. I'm in the shop, finishing the last few pieces, when out of nowhere, a stray dog walks into my garage. Now here's the thing, I have a dog, but I'm also kind of terrified of dogs. So naturally, I did what any brave woodworker would do. I leapt onto my workbench to stay out of reach and repeated, "Who are you?" Who are you? Who's your owner? Like an idiot. But thankfully this dog, his name was Frodo, was the friendliest little intruder. My wife and I managed to track down the owner, and the pup made it home safe and sound. Not how I thought this build was going to end. Well, that wraps up another video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.